No-brainer.
Let's talk football, because last night was amazing. 50,000 people at the National Stadium for the Crystal Palace match with Liverpool. Standard Chartered put together this cup that they're calling it, a friendly exhibition
they're
match.
a major sponsor of Liverpool, obviously, and they just renewed their 5-year jersey sponsor for gazillions of dollars, which was probably the real reason for Liverpool being here, to honor their corporate responsibilities, obligations.
And I want to get into the specifics of the game, but we do want to say thanks to our friends at Starhub first.
Yes.
They graciously invited us to their box. Veronica Lai, Chief Corporate and Sustainability Officer, Varma Manish, the Vice President of Marketing and Comms, Junyi Lim, and, of course, longtime friend, Cassie Fung, that I've known since I arrived in Singapore and was working at CNBC 19 years ago. They were so generous to us, and what a great experience to be able to be up in the box and have some drinks and some food and a nice view. And
I always go in a box when I go to the Sports Hub. That's the only way I watch events at the Sports Hub. Special. Is there any other way?
All right, let's talk about the game. Was it a good game from your keen sports observers?
Everything that I expected it to be. And I wrote a piece about this for Yahoo yesterday because, I think we've reached a tipping point with these preseason tours. They are never going to be a 5-star extravaganza. You're never going to see footballers operating at the maximum 100%. It is what it is.
Why is that?
It is a preseason marketing exercise where Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, I was in the room when he said, look, as a coach, do I want to be here? No. And you could feel the oxygen being sucked out of the room. However, because he's a Phil Jackson. You remember Jackson at the Bulls and the Lakers?
Yeah, Lakers.
He's got that Svengali-like approach to management. He is the man. But he equally said, that doesn't mean we don't do it. We have to do it. We have to see our global fans. We are a global football club in the biggest sporting franchise, biggest sporting league on the planet.
Okay.
We have to see our fans. We have to fulfill our fans, our corporate and our commercial responsibilities. But Liverpool fans in Singapore...
I don't want to be here.
Yeah. So I'm adding now that Liverpool fans and football fans generally have to accept the caveat that it's never going to be what you watch on TV every week. They're never going to come to your hometown or your Pasar Malam and sign your shirts and take your selfies. It's going to be almost like a heist, a smash and grab. You go in, you get what you want, you leave. They literally left, I think, last night, straight after the game. So as we speak, they'll be flying back into England in the next hour or two. It's that fast.
Yeah.
So bearing all of that in mind, I think last night was a good example of how these preseason tours will be in the future. They'll come in, they'll do 1 or 2 minimal appearances to honor their corporate commitments. They'll play the game.
Give fans a thrill.
Every player will be featured. I think they featured 20, 30 players last night.
Is that right?
With lots of rolling substitutions.
Yeah.
And that'll be it. It won't be a 5-star affair. You won't get selfies. Mo Salah will not sign your jersey. He's not going to come down to your neighborhood school or stop at your HDB flat for Tay Tarek. But you'll get a game. It'll be a decent game. And that's, I think, pretty much all you can ask for.
So if we can be okay with that, that's where we need to be.
And that's the conversation that will continue to be had.
But it seemed like everybody was okay with it last night.
They loved it. They loved it.
The cheering, the crowd was
feedback
going
I got,
crazy.
everybody was happy. I think everybody's reached that middle ground now and accepted that this is what it's going to be. And, when it first started in about 2001 was the really big one I covered with Manchester United and Liverpool. And I was getting one-on-one interviews with David Beckham. Can you imagine a one-on-one interview with David Beckham? And they were going down to the Manchester United Superstore in Orchard Road, and they were doing, famously when Liverpool a few years ago went to the US, you had the footballers giving out foot-long subways in Boston. Those days are gone. And Jurgen Klopp is right to say, if you want a successful football team, which I'm guessing you do, I can't have my players giving out foot-long subways in Boston subway outlets.
Yeah.
And I can't have my players turning up at superstores in Changi Airport and spending hours and hours there 2 weeks before the season starts.
Yeah.
So Jurgen Klopp has got the collateral to go to the boardroom, American owners, the Bostonian owners, the Fenway Sports Group, who owns the Boston Red Sox, and say, however it works in America is fine. But if you want me to win the Champions League and the Premier League and the FA Cup and to challenge year after year after year, then this is what I demand. I will go to Singapore. I will go to Bangkok, but I want the whole thing wrapped up in 7 days. And then I get what I want, which is a closed door training camp, which you'll now have in Austria before the start of the season. And that's the compromise. That's how it will be now going forward. And if everybody's okay with that, fine. But you can't have it both ways. You can't say, I want to see Liverpool in Thailand and Vietnam and Singapore and Hong Kong, and I also want them to win every trophy on offer. No. It doesn't work like that.
And that's just, you're saying that just based on the physical capability, the physical stamina of the players to do so many different things.
And Jurgen Klopp's demands, and the fact that the game was changed, and the fact that we're coming out of COVID, where we had all the lockdowns and restrictions, and the fact because of economic and political demands, they're playing a ludicrous, I will say that, ludicrous World Cup 6 months from now in Qatar, which is being played, of course, in November and December. Shouldn't be. Should be in June and July, but they've had to change it because Qatar is 50 degrees in June and July. So for socioeconomic and political reasons, they're playing a World Cup in 6 months in the middle, Glenn, of a domestic season. Never happened before for commercial considerations.
So the pressure, the physical pressure.
So Klopp is like, look, if you want me to squeeze in a pre-season tour of Asia, sandwich it between COVID and a World Cup in Qatar, then these are my demands. If you're happy with that, fine. And everybody seems to be happy with that. So, you know, this is how it'll be going forward. It'll be an Ocean's 11 style smash and grab, come in, get what you want and leave. And look, I think people seem happy. I was on the MRT last night, packed with Liverpool jerseys, nothing but happy families, kids, parents. In fact, there was a young boy. He was about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. He had the full kit on, and I saw him looking at my media lanyard. And when I got off the MRT, I put it over his neck. I put it over his neck, and I said, a souvenir. It's worth nothing, but a souvenir. And he was so happy. He was so happy. And his father was, you know, very thankful. So, the vibe coming back from the Sports Hub was nothing but positive, really.
And I mean, just to see the fans actually do 5 or 6 rounds of a proper wave around the Singapore Stadium, you know, with enthusiasm. People were ready to have fun. And
right? Look, I'm objective, but I've said this many times. Liverpool has the best song in world sport. You'll Never Walk Alone. I mean, it is it's from the musical Carousel. It is hair-raising stuff, you know, the Rodgers and Hammerstein song. And to see 50,000, to hear 50,000 fans sing You'll Never Walk Alone anywhere in the world is spine-tingling. And it really was at the Sports Hub. Of course, you know what I'm going to say. If just 5% of the fans who turned up yesterday could now go and support local football, the Singapore Premier League would be very, very grateful. And for a fraction of the price, you know, just for a couple of bucks, you can go and watch Hougang, you can watch Lion City Sailors, you can go to Jalan Besar every week for a couple of bucks.
I noticed that a number of the players were commenting over the past couple of days, I think after the game, where they had their bags over their shoulder like they were walking out the door. But what were you hearing from any of the players, either from Crystal Palace or from Liverpool? What were their comments like?
Well, I saw Andy Robertson in the press conference. He is a Scottish fullback, arguably one of the best fullbacks in the world. Him and Trent Alexander-Arnold, the young guy I mentioned to you, as a pair, they are the best defensive fullbacks in the world. And I was in the press conference.
Number 66, right?
Alexander-Arnold, And Robertson was, you know, ticking all the boxes. It's nice to be here. It's nice to see the fans, the party line. However, it is hot. It's a climate we're not used to. I mean, the line he said actually almost made me laugh out loud. I mean, if you talk about a stretch, he said, but we take the positive from everything. You know, so even playing in Singapore, we think to ourselves, well, you know, we're playing in this climate, and who knows how that muscle memory might help us later in the season. I'm like, Robertson, I love you. You're a great player. But I don't think if you're playing on a warm night in Madrid in May, all of you Liverpool players are going to go, oh, you remember that time we played in Singapore, 10 months ago?
Or is he thinking Qatar?
Yeah, or Qatar, yeah, 10 months. This is really going to pay off now, Bit of a stretch. But yeah,
he had good media training.
Good media training. Oh, they have very, very good media training. I mean, Premier League footballers are masters at saying nothing. They literally at masters of saying nothing.
And making people feel good about it.
Yeah. I mean, I could tell you exactly what they're going to say before they say it. Yeah. So very much followed the party line, waved, did all their laps of honours, very polite, very friendly, but very much, when are we getting back? When are we getting TikTok? When are we getting back? Yeah. Because look, the season starts in 2 weeks. Yeah. Get going, It was one of those things, the best of the situation for all concerned, I think. I don't see how it could have gone any better, frankly, than it did, bearing the restrictions and considerations that have to be in place.
So when we met up last night at the game and you had mentioned the practice session the day before on
10,000 people turned up and paid money to watch a practice session. Now, Glenn, for context, when I was a kid, I grew up near the English Premier League club of West Ham United. If you wanted to watch training, you would just go and watch the training. It's probably changed with security. You would just turn up and there'd be some old guy, some old porter guy who just says, yeah, in you go. And you would stand at the edge of the pitch like you would at, say, I don't know, Bishan Park here, and just watch West Ham United train. Now, I know those days are probably gone, but the idea of paying to watch a team just stretch their hamstrings. I mean, at one point, Glenn, all of the team were lying in the center circle at the Sports Hub, just doing the whole torso stretching. Yeah. And I thought, people have paid for this. People have paid money to watch this.
It's the closest anyone's going to get here.
I get it.
Right?
I get it. It's a celebrity culture. Yeah. I get it. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, it was a great, I thought it was a great event. Very, obviously family friendly. And something that we don't normally get to do. I get your point about, there were no in-person at store, come and shake my hand.
And that's fine. I mean, that's what it is now. But what is interesting.
I would think because of COVID, they might not have done that anyway.
Yeah, quite possibly.
They don't want to get sick.
But what they did do, which is very interesting, is that they're sending out a lot more of their legends now, their club ambassadors. So the argument being, you're not going to get Mo Salah, but you are going to get this Liverpool legend who retired 5 years ago, who's got all the time in the world to sign your jerseys, take your selfies. And that's kind of what I wrote in the article.
That's interesting.
See them now, let them chase their trophies. And then when they retire, you'll have Mo Salah coming back as a Marina Bay Sands ambassador like David Beckham for years, and for an airline sponsor, or they'll have plenty of time.
Beckham's here all the time.
Beckham never leaves. He practically lives
crazy,
here.
Right?
Ka-ching all the way, right? Nice money if you can get it.
Well, thanks for that update. Thanks to our friends at Standard Charter and Starhub. Great evening, and we'll look forward to having more. And as Neil said, get out there and support the Singapore Premier League as well.
And play something. If you've been inspired by watching Mo Salah in the flesh, find a patch of grass, a bit of beach, go down to Sentosa, kick a ball around, enjoy yourself, go nuts.
All right, everybody. That's going to do it for the show today. We certainly hope you've enjoyed hanging out with us Saturday mornings. We're going to be back next week. Lots more guests, inspired conversations. If you missed any of our interviews today, we had a bunch of good ones. Of course, you can always get those on our podcast. Just if you don't already have it bookmarked, just Google MoneyFM Saturday morning podcast. It'll take you right to it. You can listen to all of our great interviews, and we hope that you will do that.